So welcome to another episode of Spotlight. I'm with Thaluana from Amusnet, and today we're going to be talking about relationships, the expansion into new markets, regulated markets in particular. So welcome, Thaluana.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Really a pleasure. So Amusnet has been expanding across regulated markets, including Ontario, even Italy, and many other markets. Maybe you can tell me about that too. When we talk about the expansion, what does it mean in practical terms? When do you feel like you're ready to expand?
So that's a good question. Usually we have a business team that makes all the research about the market. When it's a regulated market, especially because we see that the regulations are going to be in place. So there is a business team taking care of that, not only to know how is the regulation itself, if there is any technical terms for the games, if there is if it's responsible game for the players. Everything is connected together with compliance teams, legal team. So it's not only getting the license itself or certificates, but also understand the market and also trust what kind of content we can deliver for them as well. Because usually you cannot treat one market as the others, especially if it's in the same continent. Sometimes we think that can be the same approach. So understanding the market better makes you feel more local and offer what is relevant for the players.
You mentioned regulation as well, and that it does add a layer of complexity when you're entering markets. How do you balance that with speed to market and maintaining the two? How do you balance that?
Yes, so in some countries, we know the regulations are very strict. So sometimes there's no much room for innovation, for example. But we always try to understand what we can offer in the market. I believe having a good relationship with regulator, understanding the reasons as well is very important. And also understanding the market itself and the players, how is the behavior, if it's more mature or not, what can be actually offered to the players that can be relevant. So as I said before, it's very important for us.
Regulation gives the operators and players confidence as well. So it's not just that, it's not a negative thing. It can add complexity, but it's not a negative thing.
Not at all, not at all. We depend on the regulations to offer something that is fair for the players as well and is responsible. So
yeah, exactly. And emerging regions as well, even emerging regions where they don't have established maybe regulations as strict or as established. What would those signals tell you when a region is commercially ready for Amusnet to enter into that region? What do you look for?
So yeah, in emerging markets, we need to also understand if it's how the players behaving in this situation. Is them more mature? They understand how to play a slot or a live casino? Are they related to this kind of games already, or entertainment? Or is a regulation that wasn't in place before, was not permitted? So this makes the difference, and also to understand if it's payments are easily to do with the operations, if the operators are ready to be in the market and offer responsibly proper content for them. So everything is connected, but to be good for the market, it's good to understand all the points,
Absolutely. It's very good to have that holistic overview of a market. And how do you actually do that? How do you understand a market in detail? Do you have data on do you have research teams? How do you make that happen?
Yes, we do have a research team, like a business team. We do research ourselves. We have people locally. We also work in many countries with some consultants as well. So we try to immerse ourselves deeply in the market so we can understand what can work better for them.
You mentioned local partnerships.
Yes.
How important are they for the commercial success or entering a new market? How important are those relationships?
Very important. So basically, like we see from here, we can learn about everything that is happening in the country. But when you are actually there, you can feel, you can see with your proper eyes. You know, like we say, with your own eyes, and you can understand in a different way. So data shows you what is happening, but there is interpretation of this data that can be better done when you have more like approach with the market itself.
Yeah, the human relationship.
Exactly.
Which is very interesting in today's terms when we think about, everyone wants to use AI, but AI can only be useful when you have good data. And when you're talking about human relationships, it's rather difficult to trust AI to make those judgments when you're talking about data, and that doesn't always give you the entire picture. So the human relationships sound just as important, if not more important than the data. What do you think about that?
No, 100%. I think you can interpret a word that has a meaning in paper, but when someone else says culturally, it can mean something completely different. So only if you are from the culture, or if you know about it, if you are insert in this culture, you can understand. So 100%. So the machine cannot learn that yet, unless we have a lot of data for them to understand.
Definitely, and as we're here today at NEXT Summit Valletta, human relationships are incredibly important. But there's commonalities that happen in conferences that you'll connect with people and you feel like you've made a really good relationship with them, right? And I'm sure you've made connections and had good conversations with people at this event. How do you turn that into a commercial relationship that doesn't just die after a follow-up email?
Well, it's very important to be friendly with the people, of course, and make friends here, because I think that's the human connection. When we speak like commercially, before coming here, I need to do my research. I need to understand who is my client. So my work starts before, and then when I'm booking my meeting, I understand who this client is, so I can offer what is actually like relevant for them. With that in mind, also in a long-term relationship, I believe that's much more in trust. So if I am very responsive or not, if I'm telling difficult conversations, having difficult conversations with my clients, because that's very important as well. So the trust is the most important thing.
Yeah, speaking of trust, how does Amusnet establish trust between yourself and your customers, your clients? How do you establish that trust?
First of all, we are very honest with the clients. I can talk about myself, but in general, like the company is very clear. We follow procedures and processes that are very clear from the beginning to the end. We are very compliant to everything we do, and we are a company that is very well established in the market and in the world, I have to say. So yes, I think that counts a lot.
Yeah, trust is incredibly important. It's a word that keeps coming up in the conversations that I've been having during the event, and that and authenticity. How do you remain real in a world of buzzword again, but AI? How do you remain a real person with approachability and authenticity? So with the work that you do with local partners and building that operator trust through those partnerships as well, how do you do that when you're entering a market or at scale as well? What are the sort of processes that take place to achieve that?
So yeah, I think it's very important to have a standard commercial relationship, but also understand your client and your market. So localization is very important. We understand some business, if it's like bespoke in games, that is important for the client or not, and for the players, because in the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to choose to play. So.
And Amusnet also works across online slots, live casino, land-based as well. Where do you see the biggest growth opportunities now? Is it, are we talking, markets as being a growth opportunity, or are there particular verticals in the iGaming space that stand out to you?
Yes, we work in several verticals for sure. We have crash games, we have slot games, we are very strong in our slot games, growing a lot in live casino, and there are so many to explore. But we focus on the ones that we really do well. Everybody's talking about predict markets, and I think that's is the hit for the moment. I'm 100% sure of that. But how can you do that to entertain, keep entertaining the player until the end, but in a fair way as well? So so far we don't have plans for predictive market, but you will never know.
You never know. Yeah, it's something that I think, like we've talked about, it's testing the market, it's
Exactly.
understanding the market. Even what we're doing at Next with the Next Predict brand that we're having an event on. It's still taking a lot of time to understand the opportunity, and I think it's so very nascent. So it takes a bit of a risk, to really go
100%.
into those markets. What excites you in the industry? What are the sort of things that excite you personally?
It's very dynamic, and the human connection is out there, is everywhere. Of course, maybe in the technology part, not that much, or maybe compliance part is not that much. But we have relationship with all the departments, even from our company, but from other companies as well. I talk to legal people, I talk to compliance people. I need to understand their point of view. So this human connection is very important.
How do you manage those different relationships as well between, because you do have to talk differently to different people. So compliance and legal, you would talk to them differently than someone who is in a marketing department or a sales department or a commercial department. How do you make sure that you can actually have this vast knowledge? How do you go about that?
Well, I'm not a lawyer myself, so of course I'm not going to speak law, let's say, but I need to understand what is my objective and what I need to communicate at the moment. So that's how, and understand what is the main points that it has to be discussed.
Yeah.
So that's where I go.
And I'm just curious from your personal perspective as well, whilst getting to know you, what would you say is the thing that you enjoy most about working at Amusnet?
So Amusnet, we besides having working for a big company that is very well established, we are very well connected. So we have more than 1,000 employees, and we follow the same procedures. We have innovative product as well. Like we always sit together and speak about everything that is going on, and that's very important.
So it's very collaborative at Amusnet. So do you often work with product team, and are you involved in those sort of conversations as well? And that gives you that holistic viewpoint.
We really do, and we also bring the product team for some conferences as well. That when is relevant, so they can see what is in the market. They create ideas, discuss with people. We bring tech people, innovative, everyone to a conversation that can be done with the client or with some other providers. We always discussing everything that can be done to innovate.
Wonderful. And my final question to you, Thaluana, is if you had to give one piece of advice, shine a spotlight, since we're on Spotlight today, how would you, what piece of advice, or shining a spotlight for a supplier trying to grow across regulated and emerging markets, what would you tell them to stop doing?
Okay. I think stop treating your market like one market as the same market as everyone. So we need to be very specialized in the market, understand better the market, and not offer a generic solution for them. So stop treating as generic. That would be my advice, and relationship for sure.
Relationships and localization. I
Exactly.
think that genuinely is something that I think is becoming more and more important as well in the world where we are trying to be more authentic, or at least the challenge to be more authentic is becoming more present in the world. So having that localization, that on the ground knowledge, sounds like it's so important to have. And I guess that's what you do best at Amusnet, is localizing and making very close connections and relationships with people. Would you say that's a fair thing to
Yes, a
point
fair
out?
thing to say, for sure.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for shining that spotlight on Amusnet and on the importance of localization and relationships. So thank you so much, Thaluana,
Thank you. Thanks for
being
having
with
me.
us at NEXT Valletta for Spotlight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So much.